Good morning, my dear students. Today in DP, we are going to continue the same chapter, that is working of institutions. Children, in our previous lecture, we have studied about the Office Memorandum and Mandal Commission. Children, the Government of India had appointed the Second Backward Classes Commission in 1979, and you know that it was headed by B.P. Mandal. Hence, it was popularly known as the Mandal Commission. It was asked to determine the criteria to identify the socially and educationally backward classes in India and recommend steps to be taken for their advancement. The commission gave its report in 1980 and made many recommendations. One of these was that 27% of government jobs be reserved for the socially and educationally backward classes. The report and the recommendations were discussed in the Parliament. And children, today we are going to study about the need for the political institutions and the Parliament. Children, through the Office Memorandum, with that example, we have seen how the government works. Governing a country involves various such activities. The government is responsible for ensuring security to the citizen and providing facilities for education and health to all. It collects taxes and spends the money thus raised on administration, defense and development programs. It formulates and implements several welfare schemes. Some persons have to take decisions on how to go about these activities. Others have to implement these decisions. If disputes arises on these decisions or in their implementations, there should be someone to determine what is right and what is wrong. It is important that everyone should know who is responsible for doing what. It is also important that these activities keep taking place even if the person in the key position changes. So, to attend all these tasks, several arrangements are made in all modern democracies. Such arrangements are called institutions. A democracy works well when these institutions perform functions assigned to them. The constitution of any country lays down the basic rules on the powers and the functions of each institutions. In India, there are three important political institutions. First, Parliament. The Prime Minister and the Cabinet are institutions that take all important policy decisions. Second, Executive. The civil servants working together are responsible for taking steps to implement the minister's decision. Third, Judiciary. Supreme Court is an institution where disputes between citizens and the government are finally settled. Children, working with institutions is not easy. Institutions involve rules and regulations. This can bind the hands of leaders. Institutions involve meeting, committees, and routines. This often leads to delay and complications. Therefore, dealing with the institutions can be frustrating. One might feel that it is much better to have one person take all the decisions without any rules, procedures, and meetings. But that is not the spirit of democracy. Some of the delays and the complications introduced by institutions are very useful. They provide an opportunity for a wider set of people to be consulted in any decision. Institutions make it difficult to have a good decision taken very quickly, but they also make it equally difficult to rush through a bad decision. That is why democratic government insists on institutions. Now, why do we need parliament? Children, in all democracies, An assembly of elected representatives exercise supreme political authority on behalf of the people. In India, such a national assembly is elected representatives is called parliament. At the state level, this is called legislature or the legislative assembly. The name may vary in different countries, but such an assembly exists in every democracy. The parliament exercises political authority on behalf of people in many ways. The first one is parliament is the final authority for making laws in any country. This task of law making or legislation is so crucial that these assemblies are called legislature. Parliaments all over the world can make new laws, change existing laws, or abolish existing laws and make new one in their place. Second, Parliament all over the world exercise some control over those who run the government. In some countries like India, this control is direct and full. Those who run the government can take decisions only so long as they enjoy support of parliament. And the third one is parliaments control all the money that government have. In most countries, any the public money can spend only when the parliament sanction it. And the fourth one is parliament is the highest forum of discussion and debate. No public issues and national policy in any country. Parliament can seek information about any matter. Now, different houses of parliament. Since the parliament plays a central role in modern democracies, most large countries divide the role and power of the parliament in two parts. They are called chambers or houses. One house is usually directly elected by the people and exercises the real power on behalf of the people. The second house is usually elected indirectly and performs some special functions. The most common work for the second house is to look after the interest of various states, regions, or the federal units. In our country, the parliament consists of two houses. The two houses are known as Councils of State, that is Rajya Sabha, and the House of the People, that is Lok Sabha. The President of India is a part of Parliament, although he is not a member of either house. That is why all laws made in the house come into force only after they receive the assent of the President. Children, our constitution does give the Rajya Sabha some special powers over the states, but on most matters the Lok Sabha exercise supreme powers. Let's see how. First, any ordinary law needs to be passed by both the houses. But if there is a difference between the two houses, the final decision is taken in the joint session in which members of both the houses sit together. Because of the larger number of members, the view of Lok Sabha is likely to prevail in such a meeting. Second, Lok Sabha exercise powers in money matters. Once the Lok Sabha passes the budget of the government or any other money related law, Rajya Sabha cannot reject it. The Rajya Sabha can only delay it for 14 days or suggest changes in it. The Lok Sabha may or may not accept these changes. And the third one is, most importantly, the Lok Sabha controls the councils of ministers. Only a person who enjoys the support of the majority of the members in the Lok Sabha is appointed the Prime Minister. If the majority of the Lok Sabha members say they have no confidence in the councils of ministers, all ministers including the Prime Minister have to quit. The Rajya Sabha does not have this power. Children, that's all for today. Thank you and have a nice day.